Feeling like trans people are a threat to you in a space like a bathroom or a locker room is actually a version of internalized misogyny.
Let me tell you something, James. You are the new patriarchy.
It's really uncomfortable to sit through and to listen to, and I think that's why it's important that we do this. Feeling like trans people are a threat to you in a space like a bathroom or a locker room is actually a version of internalized misogyny, which is not necessarily your fault because it's impossible to divorce our socialization from the prevalence of patriarchy, but it also does mean it's our responsibility to unlearn it for the safety of fellow women, especially trans women. In my experience as a gender educator, the majority of cis women who have experienced violence at the hands of men or just patriarchy or living in today's world see anything that codes to them as remotely masculine, male, etc., and fear it. The difference is when we code trans people as the wrong gender, we're actually doing them way more a disservice than we are protecting ourselves. Because the false media narrative and trope around trans people is that we are predators that are tricking people into thinking that we're something that we're not, which is of course not true. Watch the documentary Disclosure on Netflix if you want more on that. So being uncomfortable with trans people in your space is something that you were taught, and you can unlearn that. It's important to recognize that we can't tell someone's gender by their presentation, by their genitals, by the way that they look. All of that can be changed. All of that is arbitrary. None of that is central to your identity necessarily. What are the limitations in your worldview about womanhood that are excluding this person from your concept of it? What are the ways that misogyny and patriarchy have failed you to the point where you can't see the sameness in you and other women that are trans? When a trans woman walks into a bathroom or a locker room, we all share the same experience of being oppressed by misogyny and patriarchy. So it's up to you to unlearn that trans people are scary, and it's up to you to relearn and expand your definition of womanhood, and it's up to you to ultimately reckon with why are you scared of something that is a part of who you are. We're way more similar than you think, and we all just want liberation from the same systems that are tying us down.
It makes me so angry that platforms like his are indoctrinating how many kids, how many teenagers into thinking this is okay. Women are not comfortable with you being in the bathroom because you are men. You are males with penises that can rape women. What's the point in having single-sex spaces if, like you say...
It's important to recognize that we can't tell someone's gender by their presentation, by their genitals, by the way that they look.
What's the point then? You guys deliberately ignore the sheer holes in your ideology and you gaslight women. How fucking rude and misogynistic. You describe yourselves as a woman, a non-binary woman, whatever that means, and you claim to have the same experience as women under the patriarchy. Let me tell you something, James. You are the new patriarchy. You have all the privileges of being male, and then you get to identify out of it and still use all the bits you like. For you to tell women that they need to unlearn their internalized misogyny...
And you can unlearn that.
Because they don't want someone that looks like this, or this, or this. You know, they're all non-binary trans women because gender expression is arbitrary. And you're telling them if they are alarmed, if they're a woman who's been raped, if they are a 13-year-old girl and you walk into the changing room and you get your cock out, then they have internalized misogyny they need to unlearn. This is where I lose all sympathy for these creators, right? Don't care. Don't care if you think I'm mean. He is poisoning the minds of young kids, and you are a complete misogynist. You will never understand the female experience because you are not female. I will never understand the female experience, but all I need to know is they deserve their own spaces, right? I don't need to understand more than that. And why are spaces based off gender identity instead of sex? Why? Makes me so mad.
I think you have to get really specific about why you want the space and what the space is for, because just like women's spaces is a nebulous concept. Like, what is the purpose of this space for women?
A nebulous concept. No, it's not. It's for women, people with vaginas, to share a space.
First off, any space that's for women automatically includes trans women, and it's nobody's job to police everyone else's identities.
You are authoritarian. Why do you get to make these rules? He just makes the rules. He's given cluster B, right? Narcissistic personality disorder. They are allowed run rampant. He is like an abuser. He is like an abuser for a vulnerable woman who ends up believing that she's the problem. And he's doing it en masse.
You are safer with trans women than without. But if you're creating a collective space for people who experience misogyny, that's not just women. It's women, it's non-binary people, it's trans men. But then if you specifically want a space without men, a space for non-men, that would include women and non-binary people and a myriad of other genders. And if it's for a bathroom, like, we all shit in the same bucket, go in the stall, do your business, leave. So the population of the space is going to change based off the purpose of that space. And as for the safety of the space, that's dependent on the kind of people, not their individual identities. Any person is capable of causing harm. So if this is a private space, like what's your vetting system to allowing people in it? And if it's a public space, most of them aren't safe anyway. And that begets the bigger conversation of how do we teach people not to harm each other?
No, social norms exist, right? If we make it a social norm that a person like you, like a man with a beard and chest hair. So for you to make this claim that anyone can commit violence, let me introduce you to biological sex, okay? Females are by far more vulnerable physically. They have lower muscle mass, they have weaker bones, they're shorter. You guys know the drill. It's the same as the transport debate. And you have just, I mean, how can someone see this and not just see cult? This is cult behavior and the brainwashing you are inflicting on people. It doesn't even need debunking because it is so fantastical and ridiculous. These people are gender anarchists. This is neo-Marxism because it doesn't just mean we're all equal and we take money from the rich and give to the poor. It means that everything is valid. Postmodernism means there's no truth. So everything's true, but nothing's true. It is a miserable ideology and it is confusing and it is dismantling all we have in society to protect women. And because of people like you, women will be raped and assaulted. And I really, really hope people like you, when all of this gender ideology eventually unravels itself, people like you deserve to be shamed. You deserve shame. I'm not afraid to say it.